Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Football Gupshup. Friends, if you could please subscribe to this channel. If you could also press the bell button icon so you could receive notifications for new episodes. Friends, if you could also please refer this channel to your family and friends, it would be really helpful. So let's start today with today's episode. As you can see from the heading as well as the thumbnail, that we will be discussing about Antonio Conte move to Spurs. As you know, Antonio Conte is a very good manager. He's won a lot of trophies at his time at Juventus and Inter Milan as well as Chelsea. Tottenham Hotspur have really done good by hiring him. Although it's an 18-month contract, but it seems that Antonio Conte has an option for extending it for another year. It seems that Tottenham Hotspur have really convinced him, and by meaning of convinced, you could say that they're willing to give him some support in terms of transfers, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about what Antonio Conte has right now currently in Tottenham squad, where he can improve, where does he require change, what kind of personnel will he be looking for, what kind of system will he be playing his Tottenham team, and what about Harry Kane? Will he be staying at Tottenham Hotspur or will he be moving? So we're going to discuss everything regarding that. So let's start. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the current squad. We're going to see what do Tottenham currently have in their team right now. So let's start with goalkeepers. They have Hugo Lloris, who is the captain of the team. He's apparently 34 years old, and he's on his last year of the contract. Let's see if Tottenham Hotspur are going to offer him new contract. I think Antonio Conte would want an experienced goalkeeper, but there will be. You could say that there might be some changes regarding that in the future. That Tottenham Hotspur might be looking for a new goalkeeper, as Hugo Lloris might have another 2 or 3 more years. Or perhaps they might look for another prospect, and they might think that there's another good goalkeeper out there in the market, and they could offer Lloris only a 1-year contract. So as well as Lloris, we have another goalkeeper called Golini in Tottenham Hotspur team. Golini is a backup goalkeeper. He's from Italy. He's from Antonio Conte's country, and he plays backup to Hugo Lloris. As you know that Hugo Lloris has mostly been in the Tottenham goal, and it seems that after Lloris they might go for another name rather than giving Golini a full chance to play the whole season. So we'll move forward with the defense department. Moving on to the centre backs, as you know that Tottenham Hotspur have recently signed Romero. They've got Sanchez with them. They also got Eric Dier, who apparently plays as a midfielder as well as in central defense. They've also got Tanganga as well as Rodon. What we might see in centre back position, that there might be 1 or 2 more new faces, because we know that Antonio Conte likes to play 3 in defense. He likes to have 3 centre backs. So we might see a new name. We might see a face who he has already worked with. We're going to discuss forward. We're going to discuss this in just a few moments, that who he might be looking into. Let's move on to the other positions such as left back and right backs. Reguilon will keep his position as a left back. He might play as a left wing back, where it is very important. If you could remember Chelsea, in which Alonso was playing in that position, as well as Moses on the right wing. So we might see Reguilon being put a little bit advanced on the pitch. We also have Davies, who basically is currently in front of Reguilon, but time to time they keep on switching positions, in perspective that sometimes Reguilon get to play a match, and then after a while it rotates, and then Davies gets a chance. So we will look at in terms of that which one would keep the place under Conte. And then in the right back, they've just bought a new player called Emerson, and Emerson was from Barcelona. He apparently is playing as a right back. He shares this position with Doherty, and we'll discuss both of them, that if they will be keeping their place or will there be a new face coming in to play for right back position. Moving on to the midfield section, we can see that Antonio Conte likes to have a defensive midfielder. In that department, Tottenham currently have Winks, Skip, and Højbjerg. Højbjerg is just basically he's done pretty good in Euro, and he's playing pretty good. He's really in a very good form, and I think he'll be one of the lieutenants for Antonio Conte. Now moving on to the central midfield, you could see that they have Ndombele, Celso, and Dele Alli. I think that we might see new faces because apparently Antonio Conte like runners. He like hardworking people who in that position. He like uh, the personnel in those areas to chase, and I think that we might get to see new faces in Tottenham Hotspur team, like in these, particularly in these two positions. Moving on to the wings, we could see that Son, Lucas, Bergwijn, and Clark, they share this both of these positions. Most probably, the most obvious ones are Son and Lucas, and they have only one striker, which is Harry Kane. So we'll see that what kind of system will Antonio Conte will be playing in. He prefers to play with 5-3-2, whereas the five are three centre backs, two wing backs, and in three he has one defensive midfielder, two central midfielders, and in the front he has two strikers. So as far as referring to this system, Tottenham Hotspur, they are down by one striker, but you could argue that Son can play as a second striker, so can Lucas. Now, if those three can take up the striker's position, then that leaves to the begging that who will play in the central midfield. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how much money Tottenham Hotspur board are going to give to him, how much they would be willing to back him up. And as far as I can think is it depends on the availability of players. What kind of people does he require, and what does he wants in terms of in this season. He has about a month up till January transfer window, whereas he could spend money in summer transfer window, but it seems that there are some pretty interesting prospects coming up in which we might see three or four faces coming and joining in January, and they might be able to push Tottenham perhaps maybe up to the Champions League position. You could say they could perhaps maybe give a little bit scared to Liverpool and City, and it depends how does the squad basically responds to Antonio Conte. So we'll talk about the positions. I've highlighted these positions such as goalkeeper, right back, left back, centre back, defensive midfielder, central midfielder, and a striker. What I've done is I've given it about 150 to 200 million. Is just a number. You could say that this amount of money would be given to him in two transfer windows, which will be in January and summer. Now the names which we're going to discuss is we're going to go starting from the goalkeeper up to the striker. So we'll start with the goalkeeper position. You could see on the screen that Onana is one of the name. He plays for Ajax. He was apparently banned, but it seems that he's on his last year of contract. So we might see that Hugo Lloris is also running out of contract. So we might see Tottenham, Daniel Levy going out for Onana, and it would make sense. He's a pretty good goalkeeper. Then there is also a chance for them to go for Meret, although he plays for Napoli. It will be very hard to prize him away from Napoli. On the other hand, they could go for Premier League experience. They could go out for Emiliano Martinez at Aston Villa. But the most likely chance is that Onana could sign for Tottenham Hotspur. Now, moving on to the right back position. This was pretty interesting. Here, I've highlighted three players. Ricardo Pereira from Leicester, Nordi Mukiele from RB Leipzig, Max Aarons from Norwich. We could see that Tottenham Hotspur, they could bid for Ricardo Pereira, as Antonio Conte likes his right backs and right wing backs, as in you could say in terms of experience. Ricardo Pereira is 28 years old, although his injury record is not that good, but you could see that Antonio Conte would require him because of his experience, and Ricardo Pereira would be a perfect fit. It seems that he would be better choice than Emerson and Doherty. Whereas Max Aarons is quite young, and Max Aarons is an up and coming prospect. He could do wonders for Tottenham Hotspur. So it will be a toss between Ricardo Pereira and Max Aarons. So any of those two, it is going to cost about around 30 million pounds. And it seems that if Tottenham Hotspur get them around 25 million, which will be a very good deal, any of those two would work. And Antonio Conte would pretty much like to have one of those. Now, moving on to the left back position, there were quite some names in this position, such as Rafael Guerrero, who plays for Dortmund, Robin Gosens, who plays for Atlanta, Grimaldo for Benfica, Tagliafico for Ajax, Winjal for AZ Alkmaar. Now, in these five names, the most prominent which came to mind was Robin Gosens, who plays for Atlanta. The way Antonio Conte sets up his team, the most likely choice between these five left backs, I think Robin Gosens would be the perfect one. Other than him, who would be good would be Guerrero, but I think Dortmund would not easily sell Guerrero for less money. It would be pretty expensive to price Guerrero away from Dortmund. So Tottenham might want Robin Gosens, as he would be an excellent left back for Tottenham Hotspur, although they have Reguilon. So we might see that if he has to make a choice to get rid of Davies, or in future if Real Madrid come in for Reguilon, so he might go for a left back position. If not in January, then perhaps in summer. Now, moving on to the centre back position, this was quite interesting. There were a lot of names in this position, such as Christensen, Rudiger from Chelsea. Both are from Chelsea. Their contracts are both of them. Their contracts are going to be finishing in this year. Then we have Sole from Bayern Munich. Then Romagnoli from Milan. Philippe Luis from Lazio. Then we have Zagadou from Dortmund. We also have Koulibaly, De Vrij, Skriniar. Vrij and Skriniar are both from Inter Milan. Both have played under Conte. Akanji from Dortmund. Milenkovic from Fiorentina. Now, out of these names, the most prominent which came to mind were four of them, because it depends on how much Tottenham Hotspur are willing to pay for these centre backs. And it seems that he would definitely ask for one of them. And the most likely chance is between De Vrij and Skriniar. But we could see a surprise in Zagadou or Akanji. Both are good centre backs, and he might need a powerful person in the mid. So if he doesn't go for Skriniar or De Vrij, then we might see between Zagadou and Akanji, any of those two would perfectly work for Tottenham Hotspur. So if I have to put my money in, it would be any of those Inter Milan boys. If not them, then one of the Dortmund boys. Now, moving on to the defensive midfield, there's only one name which comes out prominently, but I'm going to say out the other names as well, which comes to notice if he goes out to look for a defensive midfielder. There are many names out there. So I'm going to start with the favorite one, which is Brozovic. Brozovic's contract is finishing in this year, and most likely a chance is that he might sign for Tottenham Hotspur in this January transfer window. Other than him, there is also Zakaria from Mönchengladbach, Witsel from Dortmund, Ndidi from Leicester, Phillips from Leeds, Neves from Wolves, Tonali from Milan. The most likely chance, it seems to me, is Brozovic. He's a clear favourite. And if Antonio Conte gets Brozovic playing for Spurs, I think he would be pretty much content. He wouldn't go out for other names, as you know, Ndidi would be very expensive. So would be Phillips. So Brozovic is the standout name which will make Antonio Conte really happy. Now, the next segment in which I'm going to talk about central midfielders, this is pretty interesting. This is where Antonio Conte really comes out, and this is the area which he wants his players to really be good at. And I think this will be the key for his team to be really good, because he needs runners in his team. And those two positions, those two central midfielders, those two positions really need a proper runner. And the names, I'm going to start mentioning names which I've highlighted, and then we're going to go through them, and then we're going to see which name he might go for, or he might go for 2 or 3. Frank Kessie, he plays for Milan. His contract is also up. He might join in January as well. Then there's Tielemans, who plays for Leicester. Then there is Aour, who plays for Lyon. Then there is Graven Birch, who plays for Ajax. Then we have Renato Sanchez, who plays for Lille. Then there is Bissouma, who plays for Brighton. And then we have the Italian royalty Barella, who has already played under Conte and for Inter Milan. The most likely chance is Frank Kessie signing up for Spurs because his contract is up, so they can sign him up for cheap. The other name which caught me was Renato Sanchez. He's the perfect player, perfect fit for Antonio Conte's team. He could really turn up the shift, he can really turn up the gear, and he can really give, you could say, a proper running kind of almost like in a horse, and he needs a powerful midfielder, and in which Renato Sanchez would be really good player for him. Moving on to the next player, which I think would be very key, and they could sign him up, Jesse Lingard, Manchester United. Jesse Lingard, he's a pretty good player. He really did good for West Ham in last season, and his contract is also up, so we can see that Lingard, he's also a pretty good runner, and he can score goals too, which Antonio Conte likes. And perhaps these three, Frank Kessie, Renato Sanchez, and Lingard, might sign for Tottenham Hotspur, most probably in this January transfer window, and perhaps they could sign Renato Sanchez in summer. So Frank Kessie and Lingard are clear favorites to get into Spurs team in this January window, and if they're able to, then they'll be really a force. Moving on to the wingers, we have Zaha from Crystal Palace, Diaby from Leverkusen, Sarr from Watford, Madueke from PSV, Anthony from Ajax, Doku from Rennes. The most prominent name which came in this was Zaha. He pretty much wants to move to a new club. It will be really a really good thing that if Zaha moves to Tottenham Hotspur, he could play in one of those two striker positions, or he could play up wide. He could play on the left flank, and he could really give different kind of options to Antonio Conte. The other name which came into mind was Sarr. Sarr is doing pretty good at Watford. So if Tottenham Hotspur are looking for a young winger, it might be Sarr for them. Whereas the clear favourite would be Zaha, who could play in a striker position, who could play in a centre forward position. He could also play at wing as well. He could play in three different positions. He could even play as a false nine. So most likely chance would be that Tottenham Hotspur going out for Zaha, although it would cost them. But as you know that Zaha has only 1 year left on his contract, so they could get out him for cheap, maybe perhaps in summer transfer window. Now moving on to the last position, which is of the striker. I've highlighted some names over here. Icon from Lille, Vlahovic, which we've heard in the newspaper, from Fiorentina, Zapata from Atalanta, Jimenez from Wolves, Lautaro Martinez from Inter. Now the catch over here is the reason I've included Lautaro Martinez's name is because Lautaro Martinez has already played for Antonio Conte in Inter Milan. He has a contract going up till 2026. He'll be pretty expensive to if Tottenham Hotspur want to sign him from Inter Milan. It's going to cost them a lot of money. But if Harry Kane leaves, and if Harry Kane wants to go and join City, we might see a big move. The money which they get from Kane move from any club he moves to, they will go out and spend big on another striker, and the most likely chance is that they would go out and get the X-Men of Antonio Conte, Lautaro Martinez, and which will be really appealing for Lautaro Martinez to play under his old boss. Other than that, the other names over here, they're pretty good shouts, but Lautaro Martinez would be a premium one. So folks, this is what I have highlighted, what plays perhaps Tottenham Hotspur would be looking into. So we might see Deer, Davies, Doherty, Emerson, Rodon, Winks, Ndombele, Ali. We really could see that they might not work for Antonio Conte, and we might see new faces in their positions. So it's really going to be really exciting to see Tottenham Hotspur for this next 7-8 months, how they do in Premier League. from now on, and how do they do in January transfer window, and how do they do in summer transfer window. There are news coming out that Antonio Conte has been promised money, that he will eventually get to spend money. The figure which is coming up is more than 100 million. So if they give him 100 million to 150 million, it will be a very good thing. And we'll see what does Antonio Conte does this with the present squad. Does he sell some players? Does he make them better players? So it's all about to be seen. The most likely, what I think is that most probably he will get a defensive midfielder, which will be Brozovic, and definitely he will get two central midfielders who are hard runners, such as Renato Sanchez, Lingard, and as for right back and left back, we'll see what does he do. Is if he would be happy with the current four he already has at the club, then we might see that he would want to work with them. And if he wants to move one or two, then he has a long list in which he could go out and get his player. So that's all, folks. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you liked it. Please subscribe to this channel. Please do put your comments in. What do you think? Is anything, if you want me to put in, or if you want any improvement, you could give your suggestions. Please subscribe to this channel. Please tell your friends and family about this channel, and please press the bell notification icon, and tune into Football Gupshup for more episodes. I'll be doing more episodes. So thank you for watching Football Gupshup.